Hi, everybody. Janet Eichhorst and Jill Renee Feeler here for episode 24 of our podcast series. We haven't picked a topic yet, but something just floated up for me. So we're going to see if we go there and what happens. How are you, Jill? Before we
I'm good. How are you, Janet?
I'm good. I feel I got a little warm and fuzzy going on right now. I'm very happy to be here and excited to see what we get to talk about today.
Me too.
Oh, and what we get to bring. Oh, see, it's bigger. Okay. Let's
Yeah, I
take
just kind of
a
straightened up
breath.
too.
So let's take some breaths, but as we breathe, invite every cell of your being to be here with you.
Mm. Very good.
Thank you, everybody, for bringing yourself forward in here because I can feel it. And I know we record these, and I can still feel you whenever you listen to that because we're really in a dynamic field here. Timeless and infinite, I want to add. Wow. I feel so much God consciousness in this moment. I just want
Hmm.
to cry. It's
I
so
feel such a I feel such a rah-rah message too. So, major cheerleader vibes.
oh, wow. Do you have a rah-rah? Because my idea might have just
Oh,
been wiped right out.
okay. I got one.
Okay.
I just feel it's like we can rally the troops. Um, I I don't know another way to do this, so I'm just gonna launch into it. Please don't underestimate yourself. Please do not underestimate. I'm not talking about anybody else but you, right? Anyone listening or watching this, you have no idea how amazing and capable and limitless you are. A feature set within humanity is to discount
Mm.
ourselves, to discount our species, to discount each other, and for zero benefit and for huge loss. The opportunities are everywhere. And I'm not talking about personal development. I'm not talking about growth. I'm not even talking about healing. I'm talking about you getting out of your own way and literally just being a version of you that you've never used, didn't know about, had no training in, but is just needed in a certain situation, or you are insatiably curious about, I wonder if I could be this when I've never done that before, never heard about that before, have no experience in that before, and just letting yourself do that and be that. I have never been disappointed when I have kind of, with a huge amount of faith, not in me, in God, gone, okay, I think I need to be this. Okay, let's try. Let's do it. Is the intention positive for me and for everyone else? Yep. Is it something anyone else might have the faith/courage to do? Probably not. Okay, looks like me. Let's do it.
Hmm. Okay, everybody. I just want to invite people to line up, pay attention to your body, right? Relax it, relax your shoulders. Wow. And let that God consciousness power flow through you as you. And let's clean out some cobwebs, whatever those are for you. I don't care how they got created. If they're there, they can be transmuted in and through unconditional love and kindness, not through forcing. This is more getting out of our own way and letting that pure source essence, Christ consciousness, Jesus, universal life force energy, work on your behalf. I love this because what Jill's talking about is your pure inspiration. That comes from source, nowhere else, right? That's the stuff we get supported by. The other things, not so much. And I have to laugh because the topic that I had, before you had your woohoo moment was, and thank you for that, by the way, it's very powerful, was hesitancy. And do you see how well these go hand in hand?
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah.
inspiration comes in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where am I hesitating and why? Right? I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying you don't
Mm-hmm.
need to hesitate,
Mm-hmm.
right? But use that breath and use that life force energy to
Yeah.
see, right? Wow. Oh, there, step in, align your spine, align your spine, align your spine. There's always more life force energy there for you.
Yes. And you said something you said many things very, very important right there. And one thing that stood out in when you first started was you don't have to force it, or it's not about force or and then you said gentleness or something like that. And then just there you used the term life force energy. So I just wanted to offer that it can feel quite forceful, actually, but not in a power over anyone else. It's a power with the Holy Spirit to kind of motivate you, to kind of allow yourself to step into another version of you that you didn't know existed, right? The other sort of rah rah kind of message that was just popping up there is humans have done some of their very best things when they've acknowledged that they've never been that before. Okay. So, in terms of archetypes and individuality, which we like to talk about, there are some archetypes that are more likely to have those original ideas and go, wait a minute, I, what if we could do this? What if this might be beneficial? What if that might solve that problem? What about this? They may be a leadership archetype, it may be a creator archetype, originality with probably some self-confidence in there to take your ideas seriously. That's one part of it. Also, you guys, it's okay if it feels like your brain. I'm really just over this whole idea that to be spiritual means you're only heart based, and that somehow your thoughts or your brain mind based activity is somehow discounted and less than. There, I know I don't want to say I can only speak for myself because I am confident to speak on behalf of others at times. Our brains, for some of us, is right in sync with the Holy Spirit energy. It's not one or the other, it's both. Some of my best ideas very much feel like my brain, but it's not the normal type of human mind where I had training and I studied that and somebody said I was competent in that, yes, you're stamped for approval situation. It's just my brain is like, this is a really good idea. Never heard this before, never thought of this before, but I wonder if this could make a difference or this could work.
Mhm. The power over dynamic is so important because we've talked about this and we will probably continue to talk about this because I think in our human evolutionary journey, the power over dynamic is what is getting looked at, exposed, worked through, and we're all coming from a different place. Now, I also, or the ideal is to not use power over so that people get honored and respected for who they are, right? And when conflict comes up, there's a way to deal with that and be present to that in a sound way, I want to say, where people get honored and respected. And I want to talk about that in terms of the relationship between our mind and our heart. And I will add body on that because some of us have been so mind dominant in really a power over way that has been more lower mind, I want to say, and it's overridden our heart. Some of us have been kind of overpowered by heart where we don't use our mind.
We discount the mind, yeah. Oh, it's
That's
just a
a
thought. What does your heart say?
And then there's the part where both of those camps can very easily discount the body.
They're not even in their body.
I know. They're like, it's
Ah.
like, whoa. And so if we really want to use life force energy that we have, source frequency, it's in the cells of our body. And when we talk about sensation, the information we get, the information we receive and radiate, when that comes through our physical body, and when that's working collaboratively with our heart and our mind, we are on fire. And then to me, we get into this flow state where we're literally living and we're present. We're not ignoring, we're not powering over. We're working in really inner community, right? And that allows us to act much more efficiently. And I also agree that sometimes there's so much, I'll just say, power that comes through that,
Mhm.
and that, like, I would not suggest trying to shut down that pure pure creative force that's just
Yeah.
itching to create something here and literally can dissolve old realities and create new ones very simply
Mhm.
because that's just what it does. That's how that creative force can work.
Mhm.
So I love that you brought that in there, and that whole power imbalance thing. We're getting such a amazing opportunity to look at that and be differently than we were basically, demonstrated.
Mhm.
The role models that we still have in our if you watch any sort of news or whatever, we're still
Mhm.
seeing demonstrations of power over time, like flexing muscles, and it's like, well, how can I be in a different way and create in a different way where I'm in my authenticity and in alignment, using my
Mhm.
mind, using my heart, using my body?
Yeah. Yeah. It's I'm imagining that some people are interpreting some of what we're saying as they need to learn a skill.
Mm,
And that's fine if they want to do it that way. I think what I'm hoping the message that I'm offering is I would love for you to take yourself more seriously and allow yourself more freedom to branch out into being more than what you are right now. And just let yourself try. This to me, this isn't about learning. This is about allowing and experimenting and exploring and being curious. Um, and it moves a lot faster that way. And that comes up to my next part. And Janet, you may not like this next part, and I will be ready to hear your counter if you have one. I remember doing college debate counter argument now. You know what I mean? Um, we talked to number 23 about the kind of, I'm not really the type of person to kind of pop my head up above the cubicle and go, anybody else? Right.
mm,
And I might be hypocritical with this next observation, but to me, humanity is devolving. I don't feel like we're moving as a species. And I'm not just looking myopically at my country in the USA. Overall, for many years and probably at least a decade, I'm like, I don't know. This feels like a devolution, not a revolution, and not an evolution. And to me, that didn't bring apathy. It made me stronger, I think, in a way of, ooh, okay, so this, if that's true, then this is serious. And if that's true, then I may not be here to join a community to make the world a better place. I might have incarnated for the purpose of trying to hang on to what I love the most about humanity in a state of decline. Okay. And I just want to give the audience a minute. You don't have to agree with me. I completely honor those that are like, no, Joe, this is just the part where it gets worse before it gets better. I just disagree. We don't have to agree. I don't want to convince anybody. I don't feel like a need to convince anybody to agree with me. It's totally fine. I have rewired my light and my sense of self and my sense of purpose in the midst of that hypothetical that humanity is going in the wrong direction in a way. That, in my view, honesty has actually helped my light and my love and my connection to God, because I'm more serious about what I think matters. And I'm not trying to hide from bad news in the world. When I see it, I'm like, that's kind of what I was wondering. That makes sense, given the overall theory or hypothesis I have for what's going on here. So in a way, I think because I don't want to get in the way of those that are feeling like this is just the part before it gets better, which is frankly a very traditional Christian view. If there's the fall of humanity, there's the return of Christ, before the rapture, and poof, we're out of here. The good ones are relieved of the burdens of this reality. That's the traditional Christian view in the New Testament. Um, and I don't look at it that way. And I'm just like, this could just be getting worse for I don't know how long. And maybe it doesn't get better. And maybe for some people, they're like, I'm never incarnating back on Earth again because it's going downhill. And who would incarnate now? But I guess what I was trying to say is what I was hoping to get to, and now I will more clearly, is and there's in a way where I try to separate myself in a way from those that feel like, no, this is going to get better, like something amazing. This is all going to get better soon. I don't want to get in their way, because if they're right, I don't want my ideas and my way of, okay, let's make this the best we can. This doesn't limit us. We're not doing everything together. Just be your best self, be your version of godliness, celebrate your strengths. Don't wait for whatever to possibly happen, because it may not happen. Just celebrate you and the love of God that's here, and celebrate life in its godliness that where you can. But I don't want to like get too much salt in the cookie dough in a way. So I kind of self-isolate, I think, in a way, even in the communities of spirituality, because I don't want to get in their way.
All right, let's all take a breath on that, shall we? Just see where you're at with that. Just check in and see. Mm. So in this moment, I feel deep love for Jill. I'm just going to say that.
Same for you.
And then let me share my viewpoints.
It's counter, right? Because we do see it differently, and I sense that, and I love that, if that's true.
Yeah, it's interesting because one of my skill sets is that I can see things from so many different perspectives, and it's all real from all of those perspectives. And that allows me to work with people no matter where you are or what you think. And I love that about me, right? Because that's just how I'm wired and it's authentic. That's why I love it. And then I still get to have heart to hearts with whatever somebody believes. And that does not get in the way of the love that I have. And we do share this, Jill. And that's why I think we can get along so well. I do see from one lens, that it certainly looks like humanity is devolving. And from my perspective, I see that here because what people are demonstrating in their behavior is a destructive force, right? It's taking things apart. It's destroying. It's changing form in a way where others get harmed. Right? From one lens, that's what I can see. I know in my life that I'm having a freaking amazing time. In the last episode, I shared about messily snotting out on the river because I had so much fight or flight and old patterns within me. Yeah, you know, that's part of the exquisiteness of being in this human body and feeling the sensations here. Is that devolving? Not for me. And I'm not doing that at anybody. I'm having my own experience with it.
That's interesting, that example, because and you guys are going to see my college debate mode, because your example to me doesn't counter the idea that overall things are getting worse here. It doesn't. I mean, I'm not devolving. You're not devolving. The people that I'm interacting with are constantly evolving and progressing. But I'm I'm choosing to not superimpose that on everybody's growing, everybody's evolving, everybody's developing better layers of themselves and using them.
So this is my next point. That was leading up to we could get into quick debate mode here if you want to, because I can go quicker, but I like luxuriating in some of these sensations. But I got quickness too. But anyway, here's my next point. It doesn't matter. On some level, if I let my perception that humanity is evolving or devolving, I can use that as a distraction from why I'm here and what I'm doing. And I see that happening all the time. And people can join the light worker bandwagon and everything good, and they can join the negativity bandwagon, or they can go like somewhere in between, right? And I could use any of that as a distraction. And so, yeah, I guess that's even a bigger question. It's like, does what you believe about that really matter? And how does it matter? Does it give you inspiration? Does it help you do your job better? Then it matters, and go for it. And just don't impose your views on other people, and then I'm cool. Right? And you can go into it if you need to, and I may or may not wanna listen, and hopefully I'll be honest about that because I don't wanna get caught up into something that's not helpful for me. But, yeah, and I do suspect, not even suspect, no, 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 X that out. It's not suspect. What I see happening, what I feel happening, and with the collective work I do, I literally see there's energetic structures that are being dismantled. I literally see that. And I see that as a force of love that's causing that to happen. And I don't care, you can call that, I don't even care what you call that, fall, not fall. It's my direct experience, which it's my job to own that. And I see and feel, you could call it negativity, just go, right? And then I feel a deeper level of really humility, because the level of God consciousness that I feel in those moments is beyond anything that I've experienced up until that point generally. Right? So we all get to look at how we're wired, and will I find, I do think there are people that are devolving and there are systems that are devolving, but humanity as a whole, I do think that DNA is continuing to get affected in negative ways, but I can't equate that to all of humanity because I see that not true. I mean, people that come to me, like, we're just like, well, let's just get your blueprint back on, like, let's just do this, right? And we talked about 100th monkey, which we don't agree on that, which is fine.
Or the braille frog. I don't believe in that either.
Yeah, I know.
Or the Mashimoto's water test. I don't believe in that either.
Right. So this is great. You guys are getting real life experience of we don't agree.
We
We
don't agree.
and still sit here and have a,
Yeah,
great conversation, and I'm not having a bad time, I'm enjoying myself here, right?
good. Me
Um,
too.
and so yeah, it kinda goes back to that individualism, and I don't think anybody's wrong, I don't think Joe's wrong, I'm not making her wrong, and I'm not making me right, and I'm not making me wrong or her right, and that goes back to that authority again and that power imbalance thing. This is a very kind of involved, conversation that we're having, and if I encourage anybody to do anything, it's like, be you, know what you believe, don't care about some of these bigger issues if it's not relevant to you,
Exactly.
you
If it
know?
doesn't help you be your light, to reiterate your words, which I totally agree with. If an idea, if a philosophy, even the big, and maybe especially the big ones, are making it harder for you to be your light, then pick one that helps you be easier, be more true in your light. My light got brighter when I was willing to acknowledge the hypothesis that is working really well for me.
Which I love that. I mean, here you as this creator being here, you this is and it's working for you.
And as an optimist, there's a lot of contradictions, and I acknowledge those. I'm the eternal optimist overall for humanity, but that to me does is very different than saying, oh yeah, we're definitely as a human race, as a species, going in the right direction right now. Yep, right. The human species has been through so much,
Yeah.
right? So I'm not apocalyptic at all. I'm not a doomsayer at all. But I can see where it sounds like I am, but I'm not. This isn't the end of the world, and this isn't the end of humanity. I just feel like the car is headed to the cliff in a lot of ways. And I just want to have my sense of self for how seriousness everything feels. Well, how serious a lot of things feel. Yeah, I'm intrigued by all the contradictions I can sense are true in my field right now.
Let
But
me
to me, I could rationalize them. So maybe you can help me tease them out, how
well,
they do make sense.
I wanna ask you about what do you think about what words do I wanna use here? I'll just use these. Timeline jumps, quantum jumps, leaps.
Mm.
Do you believe that that's possible? I know you've experienced them, which is a funny way for me
Yeah,
to ask you
for
this.
sure. I mean, to me, time is and space are very important, fundamental to this reality.
Yeah.
I don't like it when somebody says that chair you're sitting in, it's not really solid, right? It's just a bunch of moving atoms. You know that, right? And I'm just like, I just want to throw up seriously when somebody says that. This isn't real. Table isn't really hard. You're not really matter. And I'm literally intentionally mocking it because I can't stand it. It drives me crazy because the nature of the three-dimensional reality is so fascinating and such an epic creation of God that to diminish the sensation of solid and liquid and gas and plasma is so cool that I don't like it when somebody makes it seem like, well, it's all just energy in a way that discounts the profundity of matter, right? So to me, the idea of timeline jumping and quantum time and those sorts of things, I've already kind of expressed my hesitation to pretend that I'm some sort of quantum physicist or that I could do quantum math. That's not my specialty. I haven't chosen to study that. But I do know and believe that the creator energy, maybe especially within humanity, is absolutely miraculous, which brings me back to the first part of the message. We discount ourselves all the time. So, is it possible that a soul would choose to incarnate at a time where things felt a bit devolutionary, going, well, maybe it'd go better for at least some of them if they maybe overall the after this phase or through this phase, they would they would benefit by knowing or having this idea or this philosophy or this operating system that could help them be their light in the midst of what may look to some like it's falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, that is timeline. Maybe it's more like timeline creating. I'm intentionally, I believe, and soulfully. Oh, that sounds so boastful, and I really don't like that part of this because I feel like I'm not alone in it. So to me, it's not boastful. But how cool would it be if some of us are like, look, we're going to bring by being, this is so on point for this message, that I can't even tell you. What if some of us are just going to break our own mold and we're going to be a version of light no matter what's going on, to your point, no matter whether humanity is evolving or devolving or flatlining or whatever, we're just running in circles. I'm going to be a version of light that is unlike another expression of humanity that I would be more likely or slash destined to be. I'm going to break that mold. To me, that is quantum. And it's not about jumping a timeline, it's creating new timelines. I'm not in the ball in a corner thinking humanity is coming apart at the seams. I'm literally like as solid as I possibly can be as my Jill going, we got to take the shit seriously. And I'm not going to pretend that some of the stuff that is a total shit show, I'm not going to pretend it's about to get better. For me, I'm not going to go, well, that's what happens when everything gets better. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go, that's shit. That's shit. This leader's corrupt. That system's a mess. This isn't serving humanity. That isn't serving humanity. And who just did what? I'm not keeping track of that stuff, but as it crosses my radar, I do have an opinion, probably about all of it. It inspires me, and maybe I'm weird that way. It inspires me to be a version of humanity that I want to be, and I know we can be, that isn't dependent on that stuff going well and isn't dependent on that stuff getting better.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because I saw a lot of delusion. I literally saw a lot of self-deception within some spiritual communities as clients coming in. They were like, well, I can't look at the news. I'm like, what do you mean you can't? Well, it bums me out. So their version of light felt so fragile that they couldn't handle a headline. And I was like, well, what if your light's far more durable than any headline or school shooting or anything else that we don't like in this reality? What if your light is way more durable here than you're giving yourself credit? So you don't need to hide. You can be out there in the world going, yes, I've got hugs, got love, I've got good ideas, my brain is high functioning, I'm all the way in my bodysuit, I'm here to say F you to something stupid. I mean, whatever you feel called to, whatever your archetype motivates you to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the one thing that I know is so it happens all the time is that we're changing states. And that is that using that source energy to rearrange. I use the word alchemy a lot because that's what it feels like. And we're literally changing form. And it is literally, my experience of that is reincarnational because I'm literally breaking the mold. So I'm using different words to describe what Jill just said, but it is my direct experience, the direct experience I have all the time with people I work with, that we literally change states, literally. And there is something about, I don't, I don't know that I don't feel fragile, but it's not, to me, it's focus about where I want to use my life force energy, whether I watch the news or because that's very precious to me. My resources are, right? So it's not about fragility, it's about choice, right? And being more effective here. And when I do, it's helpful. I'm trying to think. There was a recent example. I've got lots of recent examples, but I'll just share in general and see if an example comes up here. When I see a dynamic, oh, I know what it is. It was a client, a new client that had contacted me with a certain medical condition. And yeah, I'll take a little risk here and share this in this particular way in public. I don't have any, the allopathic medical community has been very helpful in lots of ways. And I don't identify with diagnoses. To me, that's a feedback mechanism about what's happening in the physical body, regardless of how it got there, right? Because I know we've had discussions and we both have opinions about this, right? Like bad things happen here. I know I've heard you say this a lot. Um, and and so when things happen that we don't like or we want to shift, or bad things happen in the world, I can see the energetics of how that's affected or what the structure of that is. And that's good information for me. And I hear the way that you use it. You're like, oh, yeah, let's do better. And that's very similar to me in a way, because it shows me how I can use my life force energy in a better way. It's kind of like if I don't know my pants are ripped, I'm going to go out with a tear in my pants. But if I see it, then I can repair it, right? And I don't have to show my privates in public, right? In an inappropriate way. Silly example. But it's kind of that same thing where I can see something where the structure is not intact. And because I see it, it's information me to check out, is this something that I need to work with and give my life force energy to? Most of the time it is, but I always check. And then I can use that godliness, that life force energy, that unconditional love in beautiful ways to make a difference here. And I know you all can too. That's why you're here, on whatever your version of that is. And that's the whole, we support you. I support you. Jill supports you. We are complete in alignment with that. Can we just wrap?
Wrap? We could wrap.
Do you have another? We could also go on forever. I know we also have
Oh,
that.
this is so big, and I just thank you for going there with me, Janet, and the audience. I just to me, we do have a great example in Jesus. I One of my favorite images of Jesus is definitely with the image of him with the lion and the lamb and the children and all those things. But another for me, and maybe I'm weird in this way, equally inspiring scene of Jesus was it when he was throwing over the tables in the temple. He was angry. He was furious at what was happening on the Sabbath and how the temple space was being used, if I'm remembering the story correctly. I was happy to see him angry because there is a part of me going, WTH, what? What? Who's doing what? To whom? Why? Who thought that was a good idea? This is crazy. This is stupid. This is dumb. I'm angry. You know what I mean? There for I'm like that. There is a part of me that
Mm.
my anger motivates me. It doesn't make me lash out. It inspires me. It motivates me to not be a part of something I disagree with. So again, in the theme of individuality, I don't join an angry mob that's just sends us. I'm like, wait, what are you guys mad about? What are you marching for? What is that going to do? What's your goal? What's your purpose? What's the mission? I need a big layout. You're just mad to be mad. You want other people to be mad. I'm not in for that. I'm not. But if it gives me energy to be a truer version of my light and my love and my godliness, I'm all in. And I do want a space for others that may feel that way or maybe wanted to feel that way, but they didn't feel seen and heard within spiritual or even traditional Christian communities. All they had was these versions of kind of neutered kind of godliness. And I'm not militant about it, but to me, there's a fight for light in a way within ourselves sometimes, even if it's just with addiction. I know that's common with my clients that face addiction. It feels like a battle where you're trying to, get back to the command position that feels like it was robbed of you, like you're being hijacked, right? I I appreciate that system, that ideology. It helps me be better. And if that's true for others, I hope this was useful. And if it doesn't resonate and you prefer whatever other way helps you be your light, I'm only cheering you on.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Because I know anybody listening to this, I know that the power is infinite. It just is. It just is.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you so much, Janet.
Thank you, Jill.
And for anyone that's uncomfortable by what we did today, I'm giving you a hug. Janet, do you want to join me in giving anyone a hug that may be
Oh, yeah,
uncomfortable? It's
then
just
just, like,
not what I expected today. You ladies let me down. Jill, what are you doing? You know what I mean?
navigating our world and things we don't agree with is
Mm,
such if you wanna upgrade,
mm,
this if that's where you're at, this offers that in spades because it's not about less love here. It's about more love.
mm. More love. Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Thanks so much, Janet.
Thank you.
Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing. Thank you for doing it, whatever you want to do. If you want to share this with even one other person or somewhere that might be helpful to somebody, um, yeah, I just want everyone to feel a confidence in their light and who they are and what they can be, and more optimistic and hopeful for what they can be individually in this world. So I hope this helped with that.
Me too. Bye, everybody.